Hello, everybody. Welcome to this wonderful Barnes & Noble book talk. I am Kate. I'm one of the PR coordinators at Dark Horse Comics, and I'm joined by the wonderful Jean Yang and Faith Erin Hicks. And today we will be talking about Avatar: The Last Airbender, The Lost Adventures, and Team Avatar Tales, because the library edition just came out today. But we'll be also discussing some of our other wonderful Avatar comics and collections that we've got. So I will let Jean and Faith say hello and also kind of talk about how they got involved in this wonderful world.
Hi, everybody. My name's Gene. I wrote 5 volumes of the Avatar: The Last Airbender graphic novel series. Thanks so much for being here.
Hi, I'm Faith Erin Hicks. I am the person who had to fill Gene's humongous shoes. So I'm the current writer of Avatar: The Last Airbender comics. Wrote a standalone Katara graphic novel that came out this year with art by Peter Wortman. And Peter and I also did the Imbalance trilogy, and there's like a giant library edition of that available too. And also Jean, you and I did a short story together that's in not the Lost Adventures, but Team Avatar Tales.
We did. That's right. That's right.
And I drew it, and that was my first official Avatar gig, and it was wonderful.
But Faith and I, we've been friends for a long time, and I do feel like a good chunk of our friendship is based on.
Yeah.
Right? Don't you think?
Like I know I'd see you at comic conventions and book festivals, and every time I saw you I'd just be like, Jean, let me be super nerdy and talk to you about Avatar. I was just excited. Yeah. And then like when there were cliffhangers in the comics, I'd be like, Jean, what the heck? Zuko thinks that Ozai isn't his real dad, and like what's going on here, and that kind of I remember.
I think when Faith and I when we talk about other comics, we do it through the lens of Avatar, right? Like, we talk about story in terms of Avatar, we talk about art in terms of Avatar, we talk about a lot.
I know. I don't know. I just feel like Avatar is, for me, the platonic ideal of, what I want to do as a cartoonist, like this amazing story filled with, these amazing characters, and it looks great as well. It's a beautifully animated show. And yeah, it's something that I really aspire to as a creator, as a cartoonist myself.
Yeah, I agree. I think that everything, the characters and the world building, it's all just so well. Makes sense that not just you and me, but a whole bunch of people in the comics community, we all reference Avatar over and over and over again.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like I even did my own like Avatar influenced fantasy graphic novel series as well, called the Nameless City, that I wrote and drew myself, and that was very influenced by Avatar. So yeah, I've even become one of those people. I've been so inspired by this animated series that I grew up watching. Oh, actually, I am super curious. Where did you first hear about Avatar? Like, how did you first start watching it?
I first heard about Avatar from my friend Derek Kirk Kim, who is also a cartoonist.
Yeah.
And he loaned me the first season on DVD. So it was after it had aired. And he was like, Gene, this is the best animated series ever. You got to watch it. And I saw it, and no offense to Nickelodeon or anything, but I saw the Nickelodeon logo and I was like, come on, how good could this be? But then I took it home and I watched it, and it was so good. I think it was the 3rd episode that I got hooked, right? Like by Kyoshi Warriors, that's when I got hooked.
Yeah.
And every episode got better than the next. So my wife is not a comic book nerd at all, like not even a little bit. She actually kind of, like, in general, like if there's a choice between a live action something or an animated something, she will always choose a live action something. But that Avatar series was the exception. It'd be like 1 a.m. and we'd be watching it, and she'd be like, let's just do one more episode.
Yeah, I feel like I've heard that from people, where it's one of those series that kind of transcends, like, animation is not a genre, animation is a medium, but it like transcends people who enjoy animation. It appeals to a real broad variety of people who just enjoy stories, because it's just so good. For me, like I feel like I was in a similar situation where the first, I think, 2 seasons had actually already aired, and like I started watching it in the gap between season 2 and season 3, which was like a huge gap. Like I think there was like a year between those 2 seasons. And I remember initially I was like, oh, this show, like it looks really good. I actually trained in animation. I went to animation college and worked in the animation industry for a few years. And my husband is actually an animator. He's working on the new Animaniacs TV show, the new Animaniacs.
Amazing.
Cool.
Yeah.
A whole other fandom that we should, I don't know, we're probably not gonna have time to dive into right now, but
Exactly. But yeah, Animaniacs. So, you know, like and like I was at this point where I was actually really frustrated with my career in animation. Like I didn't see the type of shows being produced that like I were really appealing to me. And then I found Avatar and I was just like, what is this? You know, where did it come from? And it sort of blew my mind about like what you could do on TV animation. And yeah, it was Nickelodeon. And I mostly knew Nickelodeon for SpongeBob SquarePants. You know, like have the show come kind of out of nowhere and just like blow my mind. And the fact that it continues to be relevant today and it's still gathering fans, and I don't know, it's really wonderful. And I don't know, I'm so thrilled and honored and kind of freaked out to be a part of it, to be able to make canon stories about my favorite animated show.
Yeah. What do you guys think it is about Avatar and Korra that has kept people engaged? Kind of, I mean, for the last 15 years, it's been. Oh, also, before you answer that, if any of our watchers have questions in the chat, or feel free to leave them below, and we'll potentially be able to answer them live. But yes, what do you think it is about this that has brought people back over and over again?
I do think it strikes this very, very difficult balance, right? Between being kid friendly, like it was rated Y7, but then it delves into such deep human issues, like human emotion. I think, you know, it deals with death, it deals with war, it deals with betrayal. There's no easy black or white. Even Aang, who is generally a good character, will have these really dark moments, and they're portrayed very realistically and sympathetically. I think it's just a deeply, deeply human show.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely agree. You know, I both Jean and I, we've done comics for young adults and for kids. And a lot of times in my career, I kind of run into this concept of, well, kids don't care about quality media. They'll read anything, they'll watch anything. And I mean, maybe on some level that's true, but I feel like kids are really smart and they deserve quality media, quality storytelling that really speaks to them and doesn't talk down to them. And I feel like Avatar really does that. It's a show that does not take its audience for granted. It challenges its audience. And I feel like that's something not only that really resonates with kids, but, you know, when you become an adult fan, you know, I mean, I started watching the show in the mid-aughts. So here I am like 15 years later and I still love the show and I still watch it. I'm significantly older and I still go back to it and see something new every time. And I feel like that is something that is really rare and special. The show that can grow and you can return to as you grow and as you get older.
It's amazing to see fans now discovering the show who are not even alive when it was.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's the crazy thing. These 10-year-olds and I'm just like, you weren't born yet.
I know, exactly. You weren't born yet. I mean, that's true for my kids. I have kids that are huge fans of the show who were not alive when it was airing. And then I just had the daughter of a friend who's 11 had a birthday party that was themed Avatar.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing,
so right?
That's so cute. Yeah.
So
Did
wait,
you get some comics?
Yeah, I was gonna ask.
Oh, what was that?
Did you?
Oh yeah, I totally sent them comics. 100%. Yeah, that was my birthday present for her.
Yep.
Was actually this book right here was my birthday present.
Nice.
The cover to the new editions, like
yeah.
Really.
Gurihiru did an amazing job. So Gurihiru is the Japanese art studio that did the first 5 volumes of the.
Yeah, they're awesome. I saw them talk at Toronto has this comic book festival called TCAF, the Toronto Comic Arts Festival, and they came one year all the way from Japan to Toronto and did a talk, and it was just amazing hearing them talk about their studio and how they work together and the hours that they put into their work. Like apparently they get up at like 5 a.m. to start drawing comics, and I was just like, oh my gosh, I can't do that. Early.
All right, so we actually have a special treat today. Both Jean and Faith have agreed to do some art for us, and we're gonna get Faith started on that now. So, Faith, tell us what you're gonna draw. Show us your setup.
Okay, let's see if I can do this. Oh, there we go. Okay. All right. Hopefully you guys can see this. So I'm going to do a little sketch of, hopefully it will not be too ugly, little sketch of Sokka and Katara, my two favorite siblings. I remember when I first started watching the show, I had such a crush on Sokka. I thought he was so
Oh
cute.
my God, me too.
It's like the funny guy, and you're just like, oh yeah, that's the one. I called him my TV boyfriend.
So, Jean, I didn't realize that you guys had first worked together with Faith drawing. I kind of thought Faith's start was writing the comics when she started doing that. Is that how you guys met?
No, I think we'd met before that.
Oh yeah.
I actually don't even remember when we first met, but pretty early on we kind of fanned out on Avatar Last Airbender. So the very first thing that we did together for the Avatar universe was this story for a free comic book day comic.
Oh,
And I did the writing, she did the art. I remember bringing her name up to Mike DiMartino and Brian Konietzko, the creators of our series, and they were over the moon that we knew each other, because they're huge Faith fans.
Aww.
That was fun. That actually, it's funny because the main characters of that series, I think it was Sokka. Sokka was one of them.
It was Sokka and Suki. It was a
Sokka and Suki
story, and it was kind of about, oh man, this was a few years ago. So the story was kind of about like that whole like fake geek girl thing, except they're like about collecting shells, and we had these like two jerky guys who were like, no, this girl can't be a true shell collector, and Sokka and Suki were there to put the hurt on this jerk.
Yeah. It was fun to do. It was a lot of fun to do.
Oh yeah, it was so great. I actually gave Brian one of the original comic pages from.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, that was like the very last time that I did drew a comic entirely traditionally. Like normally you work digitally now too, right?
I do. Yeah. I switched over about 5 years ago.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, same. Yeah, because it's just like, it's so much faster when you work at least partially digitally. But yeah, that was like one of the very last gigs that I did where the entire project was done traditionally, except for the colors, which were not done by me. Let's see. Oh yeah, and this is why I like penciling my comics digitally, because I can already see Sokka's head is too big. And that's the nice thing about working digitally, because you can just resize things so easily.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
And erasing, right? Erasing is so nice digitally because you can't see any of the, like when you're erasing on paper, you can always see a little bit of the imprint.
Yeah, I know. Ugh.
Looks great to me.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
So the collection brings together just a ton of creators. I actually just went through and counted. There are 42 creators on that whole library edition collection. What do you think all of those little short stories brings to the Avatar universe and having all of those creators?
I mean, I kind of think it just shows the fullness of that universe, right? Like I don't know how they did it, but Mike and Brian and their team, they really built a three-dimensional universe that can hold all sorts of stories. I kind of think it's like, I mean, I think Avatar has the same or even more complexity than the Star Wars universe. Where there's like an endless number of corners that you can explore. And like one of my favorite Avatar short stories that I read recently was about the Pebble, who's like a tiny character in, I think he might have only shown up in 1 or 2 episodes, and he's sort of like a spoof of The Rock, right? That the wrestler Dwayne The Rock Johnson. But within the world of Avatar, the spoof character actually can take on a three-dimensional quality. It just goes to show, how much work they did in laying the foundations of the Avatar.
That story is really cute. It has like what is the type, like the Pebble has a or no, like his name is the Boulder, right? And he's
I'm sorry. The Boulder. That's right. The
Toph,
Boulder, not the Pebble.
Toph makes fun of him by calling him the Pebble, and then
That's
he has.
right. I was overly toughed. Yeah.
And then in the story, he has like a crocto. What is it? A crocto cat. So it's like half crocodile and half.
Yeah, that's actually one of my favorite parts of the universe as well. Is those hybrid hybrid animals, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
I'm nothing more than I want a turtle duck in my life. It's the cutest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, that's right. And it was so smart too, because by doing that, they were. I mean, the whole world is kind of built in this balance between the familiar and the fantastic.
Yes.
And by taking two really familiar animals and combining them together, they hit that balance perfectly.
Yeah. Do you guys have a favorite critter?
Trying to think.
I like the turtle duck. One of the fun things about working in the Avatar universe is that you get to kind of make these things. And I remember I did a story with Gurihiru, The Search, which actually takes place in the forest, and there are all these like forest creatures in there. So it was almost like I just wanted to see how Gurihiru would combine animals, So I would just throw out random ones. I think one of the ones that I liked the best that they did was like a frog gorilla.
Oh my gosh, that's so great. Even though I know people don't like this episode, although I kind of like this episode, but like the wolf spiders that you see in shoot, is it the Great Divide? Is that what the episode is called?
Yeah, the Great Divide.
So it's like, I don't know, like that was one of the really early episodes of the show that I watched. So I still have affection for it. I still think it's fine. Like that's the thing. I think it shows how great the show is that, this episode that's perfectly fine is considered one of the lesser ones. It's fine. The story is fine. It's pretty funny.
I've had debates about the Great Divide.
Oh yeah? What's your opinion on it?
Oh, I think I agree with the majority consensus.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, like it's not an amazing episode, but there's just stuff in it that I think is really fun. Like I actually really love the ending when Aang is like, "Oh yeah, I completely lied." There's something about that that really cracks me up.
Yeah, I think you're right. It does show how well crafted that show was.
Yeah. I mean, there's not very many episodes not really any episodes that I like strongly dislike or anything.
No.
They all have something in them that makes them worth watching, even if they're not, not every episode can be The Blind Bandit.
Yeah.
We all agreed is the greatest episode.
What do you think, Jean? What's your favorite?
I really like The Blind Bandit. I also really love The Guru. I thought that was such a well done episode. And The Beach. I think The Beach was I watched The Beach over and over again to figure out how to do villains. I think there's something really magical about the way that episode changes your view of all of these different characters. It's like 22 minutes and you have a completely different view of Azula.
Yeah, it's so good. Azula is one of my favorite characters on the show. And I love how she is in that episode. Like I just love how like awkward and like I don't know. There's something so fun about a villain who's just like a giant mess. Yeah. She's just like a giant mess. Oh my god.
And the thing is that she seems so well put together before that, right? Like everything's deliberate and she's like this total type A, has everything planned out. Yeah. And then that episode just changes your feelings about her completely.
Yeah. And then like the final shot when they're like
that final shot is so great.
Everything is on fire and they're just like friends forever. Oh my god, so great. So great. Love that episode.
Faith, do you have a favorite character to draw? Or write?
Yeah. Oh, well, writing, it's definitely Toph. Like I love writing Toph. And I remember at one point when I was writing Imbalance, Brian at one point was like, because Jean and I, we both worked, hand in hand with Brian and Mike to make these comics. At one point, Brian was just like, Faith, you don't need to make Toph like so awesome all the time. Like, give her some flaws. She doesn't need to like come in and like, win every fight immediately. And I was like, yeah, you're right. Yeah, I mean, it's important. It's important not to have a character who's like so super powered. But man, I love Toph. Like, especially, like I feel like now animation has really changed. For women in particular, like there's a lot more animated shows that have female characters and female leads in particular. And for the longest time, it was super rare. And I know that even Brian and Mike had struggles getting Legend of Korra. I don't know if it was like struggles of getting it made, but I know that they wanted Korra to be a woman, and I feel like I heard stories that there was doubts from the studio heads that they could do an action adventure animated show with a main character who was female, which is really, really sad and disappointing to see. Like girls and women deserve stories about action and adventure starring characters that look like them. But yeah, like for the longest time, it was very, very rare. It felt like to see a show that wasn't about, I don't know, more realistic subject matters that had female characters in it. And finding Toph in particular was just like such a big deal for me back in like 2006 or whenever it was that I started watching this show. And I was just like, I wish I had this character when I was 10, because she just would have blown my mind. And yeah, it would have.
You wrote a Toph spinoff as well.
Yes, yeah. So that one's coming out in February with art by Peter Wortman, again, my collaborator on Imbalance, and also my collaborator on the standalone Katara graphic novel that we did. And yeah, I'm super excited for that one. So that one is actually set after the events of the show. Nice. And it's about Toph and her metal bending academy, which is something that Jean set up. So like you had it in your comics that she sets up an academy to train metal benders, right, Jean?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I mean, it was a way of connecting it eventually to like the law enforcement of where everybody's a metal bender, right? So how did the discipline of metal bending get so widespread?
Yeah, exactly.
We do
have really satisfying about watching you ink, dude.
Yeah, you're doing.
Thank you. Oh, it's too bad. I wonder why it's like that. I just got this webcam, so hopefully people. And it's like I bought it, and it was like, it's I don't know, has all the DPI or whatever. Sorry, you were saying?
Oh, we have a question in the chat about what tools you're using. Right now.
I love talking about my tools. Please ask me. So this pencil that I use, this is a coal erase pencil, a light blue coal erase pencil. Prismacolor makes them. They're available at your local art store for about like $2. And they're also known as animation pencils. This is actually a pencil that I started using when I went to animation college. And I really like them because I am a very messy artist, as you can see. And I like the fact that the blue pencils are not very smudgy. Like they don't smudge the way graphite smudges. So this is something that works really well for me. And then for inking, now when I make my comics, I do my pencils digitally on a Cintiq, but then I print out the comic pages and I ink them by hand. So I still ink with this tool, which is a Raphael Kolinsky watercolor brush and a size 1. So it has this lovely pointed watercolor brush that allows me to get like beautiful smooth lines. And then I ink with, this is Koh-i-Noor drawing ink. So yeah, all of these tools came from me basically like stalking other artists and asking them like what kind of tools they used as well. So I love talking about my tools. Anyway, that one is pretty much done. I'd probably like fill in
that looks amazing. What we can do too is you can post it online afterwards so we can make people follow you and see your work.
Oh yeah, of course.
All right, Jean, it is your turn. Are you
All
ready?
right, so I'll switch my camera.
Perfect.
Let's see, Jean.
So I'm drawing on an iPad.
Jean, this was years ago. I feel like this was all the way back in 2013, but I remember I was at the Brooklyn Book Festival and I saw you and Raina Telgemeier and Jarrett, I'm not sure how to pronounce his last name.
Yeah.
Yeah, and maybe one other person, I can't remember, but you guys stood in front of like this giant crowd of kids and you did live drawing based on those kids' suggestions for like an entire hour. And guys did like 40 drawings. And it was like the most super heroic thing I'd ever seen. Like I was just blown away by it. Do you remember that?
I remember that. Yeah, because my hand hurt for a while afterwards. So I do remember that.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, especially with Jarrett and Raina, they draw so quickly too, and I feel like I'm such a slow artist.
Yeah.
That, it was hard for me to keep up.
You
But you must have done that, right? You must have done like draw offs and that kind of thing at conventions.
What? People ask me to do it and I always refuse. Like I
You
just
do? Why? You just did such an awesome job.
This is different. I'm not, well, for one thing, I'm not taking suggestions from the audience. I've prepared ahead of time, what I'm going to draw and that kind of thing. And I'm not, and also I don't have like 200 pairs of eyes staring at me.
You might have more. This is online. You might have more.
Yeah, but I can't see them. I can't see people looking directly at me. So it's much less intimidating. Do you really consider yourself like a slow artist? Because I mean, I'm just watching.
Oh, dude, I'm a slow artist. Yes, I'm 100% a slow artist. Like I watch you and pretty much anybody else, and you guys are all so much faster than me. I'm so slow.
Oh, maybe I don't know. I feel like I'm slow.
You're slow?
Yeah.
We just watched you draw, man. You can't say that anymore.
Evidence.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I feel like every artist thinks that they're slow, and then like I'm always like, oh, I feel like I'm so slow, but you other artist person, you're amazing and fast, and then they always deny it. And they're like, no, it's not the case. I'm the one who's slow. I don't know. This is amazing, Jean. Oh my gosh.
You know who's super fast is Mike Holmes. You ever seen Mike Holmes?
Oh yes, I know Mike.
Heck fast.
Yeah, like he drew your I'm sorry, what?
Yeah, we did Secret Coders together, and he does the what's that? The fire, the Dragons book now.
Yeah, like Wings. What?
Wings of Fire. That's right.
Fire. Yeah. Oh yeah. I knew him when I lived back in Halifax, Nova Scotia. I think he's from that area, and yeah, he's always like just churning them out. So envious of people who can do that.
Yeah.
Like I want their powers.
What's Pete like? Is Pete fast?
Sorry, who? Oh, Peter?
Peter Wortman.
I mean, I think he's fast. I don't know if he would consider himself fast. He works, I believe he works entirely traditionally. So I don't know what he uses. I suspect maybe it's Manga Studio. Maybe we can get him in our next sketching session and we can watch him draw and judge.
Fast or not? Yeah, that'd be awesome.
So what program are you using in is this Procreate? What are you
Yeah, this is Procreate. Yeah.
Oh.
When you draw digitally, are you on an iPad?
No, I use a Cintiq. I have one of those giant 22-inch ones. Like I have a Microsoft Surface, which is very similar to an iPad. And originally I got it thinking, oh, that means I can like draw comics while I travel. But I mean, I like it for sketching and for some stuff, but I really prefer the larger screen. I've gotten so used to drawing on like this giant screen. Do you actually draw comics on the iPad? Like
the last few pages I've drawn, they were for really small projects, but it was on the iPad. I also have a Surface.
Oh, okay.
And it's the same thing. I bought it because I was expecting to draw comics on it, but it just didn't work for me,
Yeah.
And you gotta try. I feel like the iPad is. I mean, I'm gonna sound like an Apple fanboy, but it really feels different.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, like that has been kind of an issue with my Surface. Like I like it for like travel and writing. I do all my Avatar scripts on the Surface. I just basically treat it like a laptop. But for drawing, there's something about the actual like surface that I, draw on with my pen, my digital pen. That doesn't, I don't know, it doesn't feel as nice as the Cintiq does, but you really have the Apple, the iPad, iPad, that's what they're called.
Yeah, iPad, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I've never had an Apple device before, but I know people swear by the iPad Pros.
Yeah, they're nice, man. It's just Tin Pham, one of my cartoonist friends, was like really pushing it on me. And I finally got one. He was totally right. I hate it when he's right because he always brags about it.
Oh yeah.
He was totally right. Yeah.
I love Chan. Man, he's so great. Oh, look at this appa. It's so cute. Yeah. Yeah. Man, Peter draws some great appas. Peter and Guriharu. I'm just like, I've never drawn an appa in my life. And it just, he looks so complicated. I'm just like, all those legs.
I think that, one of the things that I'm really impressed with is that Peter and Guriharu have such different styles, but they both still fit so well into the world.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. Yeah, and I was terrified when I started working on Avatar, like trying to fill your shoes. And I'm sure Peter was nervous as well, because Guriharu, they'd done five trilogies with you. So 5, complete Avatar stories. And I felt like their style and the way of drawing the gang was like really solidified. But I don't know, I feel like he's really knocking it out of the park. Like I thought his work on Imbalance was amazing. And then now he's drawn this standalone Katara graphic novel, which is Katara and the Pirate Silver. And I love his artwork in this. It's so refined. I don't know. It's like he just is really like nailing it. And the color by Adele Matera is great as well. And then we have our Toph standalone story that's coming out in February, I think. Is that right, Kate? February? Yeah. February. And his art for that was like total fire. And then we have a third one coming out, which is not announced yet. And he hasn't started on that one yet, but I'm so excited to see him draw it.
Yeah, I'm really excited for that one as well. I think people are gonna be so excited when we're teasing them now, but when it's ready, it's gonna be a big one.
Yeah, that was really like tonally different too from the previous 2 that came out, the Katara and the Toph ones. So yeah, I'm really excited for this third one to get announced.
Yeah. We have another art question from the chat. Do you guys have any drawing tips?
Practice, man. Yeah. I mean, so I would definitely suggest, if you're interested in making comics, just make them. Don't wait for your art to reach a certain level where you feel like you're finally at a place where you're good enough to make comics. It will never reach that level. So just dive in and start making comics. Generally, I will say that learning to draw from real life, even if you're interested in being a cartoonist, like Jean and I are, that is really important. So doing things like life drawing can be really important. So learning human anatomy, learning animal anatomy, and then just going out and doing stuff like sitting in cafes. Well, once the lockdown is over and we're no longer a pandemic, but going out and drawing from real life or drawing from photographs, those are very, very important, even if you want to become a cartoonist and draw in a more cartoony style.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think practice is the number one thing. I actually think practice trumps quality. I read this study somewhere that there was this ceramics professor that did this experiment on his class, and he had half of the class, he told them that they were going to be graded on their best work, and for the other half of the class he said they were going to be graded on pure poundage. So the total weight of what they generated for a semester, and he ran it for a few semesters, and he said inevitably the best work always came from the poundage kids.
Yeah.
So there's something about like producing as much as you can, right? That will that forces you to get better and better and better.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. Like for myself, I had drawn over 1,000 pages of web comics before I was published. Like I spent when I was going through college, I spent 5 years doing a webcomic called Demonology 101, and I had no intention of like becoming a professional cartoonist. I just had this story that I wanted to draw, and the improvement that I saw at the end of that 5-year journey was incredible. So yeah, I absolutely agree. Just diving in there and practicing and like trying to make it a habit, like.
Yeah.
Of course, don't burn yourself out. Don't force yourself to draw. But if you can sit down and like draw every day or like really make a habit of it, I feel like you'll see your art improve by leaps and bounds.
Yeah. It's pretty amazing. It's pretty amazing that, especially in the beginning, if you just force yourself to get over the voice that tells you that everything is garbage, and just force yourself to practice, you'll get better pretty quickly.
Yeah. And it's wonderful to get like invested in your improvement too. Like I love seeing those improvement memes where people are like, this is the character, this is my original character that I drew in 2012, 2013. And then, showing pictures of that character, like as this artist progresses, it's wonderful to see. And it's absolutely true. If you're practicing and you're putting in the hours, you'll see your work improve.
Nice. All right. Is Appa done?
I think Appa's done. I'm gonna switch back to.
Appa looks great.
I love him.
Yes, you guys will definitely share with me and our friends at Barnes & Noble after the stream.
Sounds good.
All right, so folks who are watching, feel free to ask more questions in the chat because we've got plenty of time to answer a couple more of those as they keep coming in. But I've got a few more here now. What level of collaboration did you guys have with the original creators, and how much creative freedom did you have to play with the Avatar universe?
You want to start?
Oh, me? Oh yeah, for sure. They were completely hands-on, both Brian and Mike. They saw every outline. So I'm just talking about Imbalance because for the newer standalone graphic novels, the process is being overseen by Tim Hendrick, who is a writer on the show as well. But now Brian and Mike have moved on to other things, sadly. But yeah, when I was working on Imbalance, they went through the entire process with me. They saw every outline. They gave me notes. They were really hands-on. And they didn't really put any restrictions on me. They wanted my take on the Avatar universe. And I've mentioned this before, but it's like when I first started working on Imbalance, like I was so scared and I was so nervous to perhaps pitch them a story that they thought was stupid or maybe like wasn't right for the universe. I was just so scared. And at first, like I was really timid and I was kind of like pitching them ideas that were like really sort of timid. And when I got over that fear and really like dove into like my personal feelings about Avatar and also about Korra, and started pitching them like the darker stuff in Imbalance, like especially Aang's conflict over should he take away the bending of the main villain in Imbalance, and Katara having like huge issues with that. That was, I feel like that was when they really started responding to the story that I was pitching them, because yeah, it just, I don't know, I guess it came from the heart and I was like less terrified of them. But yeah, they were definitely hands-on from the very beginning. And I would just like to say, like, like they are absolutely lovely guys. And like, I was just afraid because I was so intimidated. It wasn't anything, like they didn't make me feel afraid. I was just so nervous.
What about you?
Yeah, I think I had a really similar experience. So yeah, Mike and Brian were both really hands-on from the beginning in a really good way. I think there was this balance between their involvement and them giving me like creative elbow room. So our comics all sit, I guess except for Faith's most recent ones, but the rest of them all sit in this in-between space, in between the end of the first show and the beginning of the second one. So all of the big pieces are there, right? Like we know Republic City is gonna be there. We know that Aang and Katara are gonna have 3 kids. We know all of that stuff. But within that timeline, we got to figure lots of stuff out.
Yeah.
And it was a ton of fun. It was great. One of my favorite things was we got to take ideas that Mike and Brian were not able to fit in that original show and kind of flesh them out. So one example is for Smoke and Shadow. They had the idea of creating like a Fire Nation version of the Kyoshi Warriors, but that never fit in with the first 3 seasons of Avatar: Last Airbender. So we were able to take that idea and kind of run with it, and you see what that looks like in
Nice.
Smoke and Shadow.
Sorry, my cat is rubbing her face on my screen right now.
Everybody loves Avatar,
Yeah.
even cats.
Yeah, she's really excited you guys are here.
Fan.
What is it like creating original characters for the Avatar universes? So like Ki or Rue? I don't know.
Yes,
Like-
Rue.
Wait.
Man, I love it. Like that for me is one of the most exciting things about working on Avatar. And my goal is just to put like so many different kinds of women in that universe. like Avatar does well by its female characters, and has a pretty good ratio of male to female characters. But that was absolutely my goal going into Imbalance. I was like, I want there to be an evil mom. I want the villains to be women. Like that kind of thing. And with Katara and the Pirate Silver, I got to create this pirate queen, which was amazing. And I absolutely love Peter's design for her. She's one of my faves. So yeah, it's so much fun.
Isn't it crazy though? You like create a character and they're part of like canon. You know what I mean?
Yes.
It's so crazy. It's so crazy. Yeah.
That leads well into another question. As fans of the show, do you guys do either of you have trouble stumbling through fan fiction territory for your work? How do you or do you have to like avoid it for professional reasons?
Oh yeah, I generally avoid Avatar fan fiction.
That's fair.
Yeah.
How about you?
I've never really been into fan fiction, to be honest. Like I have friends who are super into it, and that's like most of their reading. And sometimes I will read like my friends' fan fiction. But yeah, never read Avatar fan fiction at all. To be honest, I'm not really sure where to find it. So please don't send me links. I can't read it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
fan fiction, and then also shipping debates online. I've also learned you have
Yeah.
to.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are usually like minefields. But I did kind of enjoy. Apparently, people were shipping one of the characters in Imbalance, Yaling and Toph, which I thought was pretty cute. But God bless, God bless. But my intention in the comic. But God bless,
Yeah, it's one of those things where we at Dark Horse have that a lot, where we can't read pitches, so we do have to avoid stuff like that pretty often.
Yeah.
We're getting close to wrapping up, so let's see. Let me see our last couple questions here. My cat is right in the camera. If someone was interested in pursuing a career in art, like animation or illustration, what would you recommend?
I've never been in animation. I kind of feel like it's a very different thing from comics. I think comics, one of my favorite things about comics is that it is like this really intimate medium, meaning you can create a comic just by yourself. You don't need a team, right? You really don't need to work with anybody else if you want. And as a result, nobody can tell you no. If you want to make a comic, you go and write and draw a comic, you put it up on the internet, you print it up at your local photocopy store, you staple it, you take it to local shows and sell it. No one's going to be able to tell you no. And that's how I got started. That's how I feel like that's how Faith got started. That's how a lot of people got started. I think, Raina Telgemeier, Kazu Kobayashi, Ben Hackey, all these people, we just started by just doing it ourselves. And if you want to do comics, at least, that's how I would suggest going about it. I do think animation's different, though, right, Faith?
Yeah, like I did college for animation, and I never thought comics would be my job, like never in a million years. I hoped that I would work in animation and maybe just do comics on the internet and things like that. And so I went to a school called Sheridan and did their 3-year, well, it used to be a 3-year classical animation degree. Now it's a 4-year bachelor degree. My husband works in animation, and animation is absolutely a valid industry where you can work for a studio and make a living wage and have benefits and time off and stat holidays, which are the sort of things that you don't really get as a freelance cartoonist. And for that, you do need to train in it, I feel like, but I will also say that you don't need to go to a fancy school like CalArt, because I know there's a very large discussion online happening about the cost of schools, and in particular, the cost of art school. My husband went to a very inexpensive, very small college in Nova Scotia, and now he's working on Animaniacs because, he worked really hard and he's a great animator now. So yeah, animation is very different. There are certain things you need to do in order to get into that industry. Comics is different. Yeah, like Jean absolutely hit the nail on the head. One person can make a graphic novel, and I absolutely recommend just diving in and making them if that's something you want to do.
Great.
Early on, though, you got to find a way to feed yourself while you're making.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, in animation.
You got to figure that out.
Yeah. Like while I was doing like my first few graphic novels, I was still working in animation. I would go to work and do like 9 to 6 in the animation studio, then come home and work from like 7 to 11 on comics, and it was awful. I do not recommend it. Oh, so part of my life is over.
All right, so we're just about to wrap up. So let's go ahead and end on where people can find you online, and also a book recommendation or two.
I'm at my full name, Luen Yang. I'm on that's my website, jeanluenyang.com, and I'm at that handle on Twitter and Instagram as well. Right now, I'm reading Far Sector, which is a DC comic about an African American Green Lantern, an African American female Green Lantern in a very, very far corner of the universe, and it's amazing. It's mind blowing. It's one of the best science fiction stories I've read in a while. It's great.
Oh, that sounds awesome. Who's the creative team on that?
It's N.K. Jemisin and Jamal Campbell, I believe.
Oh,
yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's great. It's great. Art and writing. It's a full package.
Oh, cool. You can. I'm Faith Erin Hicks, so you can find me faitherinhicks.com, at Faith Erin Hicks on both Twitter and Instagram. I also have a Facebook, but I don't really update it very often because I don't like Facebook. So right now, I'm reading a lot of manga, to be honest. I'm going to recommend my current 3 favorite series. Really like Delicious in Dungeon. It's this goofy fantasy series about dungeon adventurers who also like hunt and kill and cook monsters and eat them. It's really funny. And Witch Hat Altier. It's a fantasy about young girls at witch school, and it's really beautiful. And then also Silver Spoon, which is by the author Hiromu Arakawa, who did Fullmetal Alchemist, but it's about kids at agriculture school. They're learning to be farmers, and it's lovely and adorable. And yeah, they all have multiple volumes in all of these series, and I highly recommend all of them.
Great. All right, you can find all of Jean and Faith's work, one on their social channels, everything that they've done on Avatar and Korra, you can find on the Dark Horse website, and feel free to pre-order from our dear friends at Barnes & Noble, who are so gracious to have hosted us today. Everyone have a wonderful week, and stay safe and stay inside. Bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, thank you so much for having us, Barnes & Noble. And yeah, stay safe, stay inside.